Welcome back to Aurora Tech Channel. Today, I will be reviewing the greatly anticipated BambuLab A1 Mini, which is going to throw another bomb in the already highly competitive 3D printer market. The A1 Mini is priced at just $299, and with the Mini AMS multiple-color system, it's priced at $459. This super aggressive pricing not only makes some mini budget printer manufacturers have to rethink their price strategy, but also makes the Prusa Mini, which is also priced at $459 without a multiple filament system, look a bit outdated and overpriced. From the recent price moves detected by the 3D printer price tracker from my website, auroratechchannel.com, we can see that 3D printer prices have fluctuated a lot just before the launch of the BambuLab A1 Mini. Let's see what we can get from this machine. The print volume is 180 by 180 by 180, which is the same as the Prusa Mini. The firmware is the Clipper variant, featuring the same input shaping, plus their own motor noise cancelling feature. It fully automatically calibrates itself, including auto Z offset, auto bed leveling, and flow rate compensation by using an eddy current sensor to measure the pressure inside the nozzle. For the motion system, it uses a 15mm linear rail on the Z-axis, a 12mm linear rail on the X-axis, and a thick 35mm linear glide and slider on the Y-axis to support the fast printing. The fastest print speed is 500 mm per second, and the maximum acceleration is 10k per second squared. I think with this solid hardware, I can take the 500 mm per second speed seriously, even if it's a cantilever bed slinger. The hot end can quickly be swapped. Just pop out the cover and silicone sock, and the hot end can be removed without any screws or tools. The hot end itself contains no wires. The heater and thermistor are all integrated into the print head. The cooling fan is a 5015 turbo blower. It's a 24-volt 0.22 amps one, which is more powerful than a regular 24-volt 0.1 amp 5015 blower. Besides that, it also features a low frame rate 1080p camera to monitor the job. It supports time-lapse video that parks the printhead to take a picture similar to the Octoprint time-lapse. For other sensors, it comes with a filament sensor, a filament odometer, and a filament tangle sensor on the Mini AMS. It comes with a stainless steel nozzle that can reach up to 300 degrees Celsius. The print bed has no knobs underneath, as it solely relies on the leveling sensor for bed leveling. However, the maximum bed temperature is only 80 degrees Celsius, so you may not be able to print ABS, ASA, or polycarbonate, which require 100 degrees Celsius or higher temperatures for the heated bed. For the Mini AMS, it's more like a rack with motors to control the movement of the filament spools in order to feed in and retract filament from the extruder. It supports printing up to 4 spools at a time. Although there are 2 connectors at the side of the machine, I asked BambuLab and they confirmed that this machine currently doesn't support multiple AMS, and the extra connector is probably just there for future accessories. Anyways, $299 for just the machine, or $459 with the AMS, still look very promising. I would like to thank BambuLab for sending me this machine to review, and I would also like to thank Sunlu for sponsoring today's video. Sunlu has been involved in the 3D printing industry since 2013, so if you've been part of the 3D printing community for a while, you might be familiar with their filament. They have their own factory and a dedicated R&D team that stays up to date with the latest market trends. Personally, I really like their recycled filament series, which are priced at an affordable price of $9.99 per roll, as I appreciate the idea of reusing plastic to help the environment. Besides that, Sunlu also offers a wide range of options, including regular PLA, strength-enhanced PLA+, carbon fiber-filled PLA, and other more unique choices like twinkling, silk, rainbow, and wood-filled PLA. They offer PETG, ABS, ASA, and flexible TPU filaments as well. They also provide accessories like filament dryers and various types of 3D printing resins. For more information, please visit sunlu.com. The machine comes in nice packaging. They put everything inside a big bag, so you can just lift it up from the box, and the whole machine is surrounded by laser-cut foam. Let's take a look at what we have. There's the A1 Mini itself, which is fully assembled. There's the 4-spool filament rack, which is the Mini AMS. There's a regular spool holder if you're not going to use the AMS, color swatches of their own filament, some Bowden tubes to guide the filament from the AMS to the print head, a purge wiper, some tools, and a kit of mouse components for you to 3D print a computer mouse that actually works. All we need to do is snap the roller on the AMS rack, remove the Z-axis limiter, which is used to secure the Z-axis during shipping, and then snap on the purge wiper at the end of the X-axis and secure it with one screw. As I will first test out the A1 Mini without the AMS, I will also mount the single roll filament holder. Okay, we can now turn on the machine. Just continue, select language, select the server location, and I will also set up Wi-Fi on the screen. Just select the SSID and enter password. As I have several BambuLab machines, I will also bind it with my account using the mobile app. Just scan the QR code with your phone, and it will be done automatically. Next, it's going to do calibration for input shaper and motor noise cancellation, which will take around 12 minutes. For motor noise cancellation, it's going to accelerate the X and Y axis in a straight direction, then in circular motions. It's good to see a progress bar and estimated time left on the screen. It also shows some graphic changes. After that, it will calibrate the input shaper, starting with the Y axis, then the X axis. Okay, it looks like the setup process is done, so let's load some filament. A firmware update reminder shows up as this is the first time we're turning on the machine. I will just let it update and load filament after that. I'm going to start with Sunlu Purple PLA. When the temperature is reached, it's going to purge some filament. Let's start with a sample Benchy G-code that came with the machine. There's a regular Benchy, a speedboat race fast Benchy, and a color Benchy. I will start with the regular one. As this is the first print, I've also selected auto bed leveling to let it save a mesh. As for future prints, I may not do auto bed leveling every time before starting a print. There is some filament residue on the nozzle, and normally I'd remove it manually, but I want to see if this A1 Mini can clean it before the actual print starts. I think the cleaning mechanism is working very well. It then homes again to verify the Z offset after the nozzle is cleared. The first layer is pretty fast, but it seems it's squeezed down a little too low. The textured PEI sheet is more forgiving than a smooth one, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. As the machine is printing at a pretty high speed, I will check the sound level. I just put the sound meter 6 inches away, and the sound level is in the low 60s and occasionally jumps to the mid 60s. The print finishes in 19 minutes, which is slightly slower than the 17-minute one from the X1 Carbon, but it is still pretty fast. The print quality is super nice. There's zero stringing, the layers are beautiful, the overhanging is printed well, and the cooling at the front is also perfect. Let's also try the speedboat one, which is supposed to be printed a little faster. The first layer is also squished a little too low. Since the Z offset is set automatically, I will continue to observe and see if the other prints are also set too low and if there is any impact on the actual print. It took 17 minutes, which is just slightly faster, and I still think it looks alright. The cooling of the 19-minute one is better in these areas, and the layer lines are also slightly cleaner. From the back, the difference is not that big. But from the front, the cooling of the 19-minute one is also better. Then I will try some clearance tests, starting with the number slider. Using the default profile from the slicer, the first layer is printed at 50 mm per second. The first layer is still a bit too low, but it's going to be covered by other layers, so I'll just let it finish and see. The print finishes in 2 hours and 35 minutes, which is in line with other fast printers, which all finish in around 2 to 2.5 hours. The top strings a bit, but the bottom is nice and the clearance is excellent. I will then print the honeycomb box to test the retraction of this extruder. It took 2 hours and 18 minutes to finish. The honeycomb patterns are perfect, and this is the best honeycomb box I have printed so far. It printed better than any printer I've tested this model on, including the Prusa MK4, BambuLab P1P, and the Qidi X Max 3. Then, I will test the decorative print, the Robo Alpaca. Since the maximum Z height is only 180 mm, I will scale it down to about 90% of the original size. The print is smaller. Using the default profile, it will take 4 hours and 20 minutes. Let's compare the results. It's better than most machines, including the Creality K1, AnchorMake M5C, BambuLab P1P, and it looks very similar to the Prusa MK4, which took 7 hours and 50 minutes. Next, I will print a functional part, a mini PC stand with Sunlu PETG. As the maximum volumetric speed of PETG is set to 8 mm3 per second, the top speed of this print may be limited to 100 mm per second. When printing PETG, which prints slower at 100 ml per second and also doesn't require that much cooling, the printer seems much quieter. The sound level stays at around the mid-40s. It took 1 hour and 34 minutes to finish, as you can't print PETG as fast as PLA. But 1.5 hours for a functional part of this size is still pretty good to me. It's a typical PETG print, not as nice as PLA on the surface, but still fully functional. Then, I will print a cylinder with TPU to expand the center part of some filament spools. As the AMS rack has motors to spin the roller in order to feed and retract filaments, it has to grip the spool tight. As you can see, some spools like the Sunloose spool have a larger diameter than the AMS rack can fit. As the volumetric speed of TPU is set to 3.2 ml³ per second, this model is actually printing at 40 ml per second. I should be able to speed it up to 60 to 80 ml per second for this Eryone TPU, but I just stuck with the default profile created by BambuLab as I wanted to test it in a state that is as just out of the box as possible. The print finally took 3 hours and a half to finish, which isn't much faster than a regular printer, but the print looks alright and serves its purpose. So you can basically use any filament size, but you may need to make something like this to make it fit. Okay, let's test out the mini AMS. I will start with printing this model of Grimace. I need to add some support at the bottom, and I'd like to set the distance to 0.3 so that the support is more easily removed. As you can see, when printing in a single color, it takes less than 2 hours. Since Grimace is mainly purple, I'll just change the color of the face, or actually just the eyebrows, eyes, and tongue. When printing multiple colors, the print time will increase from less than 2 hours to over 5 hours. The total filament used is 120 grams, so I'll expect to print the model using around 80 grams and flush around 40 grams. Let's see if that's the case. When using the AMS Mini, the main issue I faced was that the filament tangle feature keeps pausing the print and asking me to check if the spool is stuck. I just did nothing and pressed retry. It continued to print for 10 to 30 minutes, but would then randomly pause and show the same message over and over. But after I disabled the filament tangle detect feature, it printed normally. Okay, now it's the color switching part. It's going to print a little bit, change color, flush more filament than it actually prints, and keep repeating. The print finally finished in 5 hours and 9 minutes. Grimace with colors is very cute. The mouth should have been printed with support, as this part was printing in the air. Also, when it was printing the tummy part, the false alarm from the tangle sensor kept pausing and resuming the print, making all these imperfect spots on the body. It still looks nice after some cleanup, but mainly because Grimace was cute. The filament used to print the model and support is 57 grams. The prime tower and the filament poop is also 57 grams, so you basically need to use 2 times the filament to print a model with just a small portion of multiple colors. In order to waste less filament, I normally print multiple copies of the same model in the same print, as the number of filament change will be the same no matter how many copies you print. So if you print 4, the wasted filament can be brought down to just around 25%. So if I put 4 grimaces on the build plate, it will take 10 hours and 22 minutes to print 4 and 300 grams of filament in total versus 5 hours and 9 minutes and 120 grams for 1. So printing 4 seems like a better idea. Let's do it and see if that's the case. After disabling the Tangle Detect feature, the printer prints without any pauses from start to finish. The total printing time is very accurate, as it took exactly 10 hours and 22 minutes. This time, without the random pausing caused by false alarms, the print looks much nicer. 4 grimaces weigh 178 grams, and the filament poop weighs the same 59 grams as printing 1 grimace. So the wasted filament is around 24.8%, which is at least better than half and half. I will do one more multicolor print, so let's find a model from the Maker World site, which you can access directly from the BambuLab mobile app. There are pre-sliced files, but I just wanted to show those available for the A1 Mini, so let's print this Optimus Prime model. It has 4 colors on almost every layer, and as the Grimace model didn't require that much color switching, I expect this model to flush even more filament. When printing a single color, the estimated time is 2.3 hours, but when printing multiple colors, it will take almost 17 hours. But the good thing is when we print 2 of them at the same time, it's going to take a little less than 20 hours, which is less than 10 hours for each model. So let's send it to the printer. As I didn't update the filament color on the touchscreen, it's still showing the previous settings. In fact, I already switched to the matching color of the new model, so I will just start the print. When there are 4 colors on every single layer, you can see it poop much more, and the poop mountain will form much faster than printing a model like Grimace. After a little less than 20 hours, the print finishes. The multicolor Optimus Prime looks really good, and it actually works. The detail is nice, and even after zooming in this close, the details stay very nice. Each model weighs around 63 to 65 grams, and as there is no support, the total filament used to print these models is 128 grams. The poop weighs 182 grams, and adding the prime tower, it will be 209 grams. So we used 337 grams of filament to print these 2 Optimus Prime models, 62% of which is all poop, which is a typical case for a model that has 4 colors on almost every layer. Finally, I will do a single layer test. I will just print with one of the colors in the AMS, the Sunlu Black PLA. If you still remember, when I printed the Benchy's and number slider, the first layer was squeezed a bit too low. The bottom half looks good, but when it prints near the center, the nozzle is a little too close to the bed. There are also a few different areas with the same issue of the nozzle being too low. It took 18 minutes to finish the print. The first layer is usable, and the lines didn't separate. Only a few different spots show the nozzle is too close to the bed, but I will talk more about this later. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of this printer, starting with the pros. 1. It prints fast. It can print a standard Benchy in just 19 minutes, and the result is one of the best among all latest generation Clipper or Clipper variant machines. If you care about print speed, I also tested importing the 19-minute Benchy profile to print the Robo Alpaca. The profile is set to a 0.25mm layer height, with the first layer printing at 140mm per second and the infill going up to 500mm per second, all with a 15K acceleration, which is even higher than the claimed 10K acceleration. It finished in just 2 hours and 34 minutes with pretty good quality, setting another high-speed record among all latest generation bed slingers. When printing at the maximum speed of 500mm per second, the sound level is around the low 60s in decibels, which is acceptable. When printing with the default slicer profile, if the turbo cooling fan is not at max speed, the sound level can stay at around the mid-50s. When printing PETG at a slower speed of 100mm per second, the cooling fan is at a low speed, and the sound level stays in the mid-40s, which is pretty quiet. If print quality is more important to you than speed, the default profile in the slicer, which delivers very good quality. The print quality is really similar to the Prusa MK4, which costs you over $1,200, including shipping, for a fully assembled version. 2. This printer is super beginner-friendly. It requires nearly no assembly, and you don't need to have any 3D printing knowledge to get started. It calibrates itself automatically and works right out of the box. 3. The touchscreen interface is the best I have seen so far, especially for a printer at this price. The setup wizard shows the progress and some fancy graphics, which is much better than other machines that simply show calibrating, please wait, and freeze at the same screen for over 10 minutes. The menu structure also makes a lot of sense, and you really don't need to guess around to find the feature you need. 4. The network feature is one of the best, if not the best. If you prefer not to use their cloud server, you can let your printer work in LAN mode, so the files you print will only stay within your local Wi-Fi. This is important for someone designing for business purposes who may want to keep their files off the internet or from going through any other company's cloud server. 5. The Bamboo Studio Slicer is very user-friendly. The best part is the painting tool, which allows you to easily add colors to your 3D model without having to touch any 3D modeling software. Just click and paint within the slicer. 6. The new MakerWorld 3D model sharing site from BambuLab works better than old sites like Thingiverse. You can now choose to download the models or simply use the mobile app to select the pre-sliced files uploaded by users who have successfully printed with the same printer. For example, I did nothing but a few clicks and successfully printed the multicolor Optimus Prime. It was effortless and the result was awesome. Now for the cons. 1. The major con of a multiple filament single extruder machine is the filament wasted when printing multiple color models. Particularly on models that have multiple colors on almost every single layer, it flushed and wasted at least 3 times the filament required to print the model. You can change the flushing amount and optimize other settings in the slicer to save some filament, but it won't make a huge difference. But this is just how a multiple color filament system works. The cost is low, but the downside is the filament waste. For multiple printhead machines, it won't need to flush and waste filament, but that would be something like the Prusa XL, which costs $3,500, and plus shipping and tax, it may end up coming close to $4,000. 2. The filament tangle sensor is not ready yet. It kept pausing my print and was pretty inconvenient. I had to completely disable it to make the AMS usable. 3. The auto bed leveling algorithm is not working well enough. The first layer is usable, and I don't have any prints with the first layer issue, but it just isn't perfect. If this first layer was printed by another mini printer like Kingroon, Tronxy, or other low-cost budget machines, I would say it's still a pretty good job. But for a machine from BambuLab, I would expect the same result as Prusa, if not better. 4. The $299 A1 Mini is currently unavailable for individual purchase, so you have to order the $459 combo with the AMS, even if you're not a fan of multicolor printing. In my opinion, once the $299 A1 Mini becomes available for standalone purchase, it should sell extremely well. So, there are not many issues with this machine. The issues I saw were mainly related to the firmware, but BambuLab has a pretty good track record of releasing firmware updates and fixing bugs, so I believe these issues will be taken care of in the next few firmware updates. In conclusion, at $299, the BambuLab A1 Mini is ready to outperform every mini 3D printer on the market. This includes not only budget brands priced below $300, but also any cheaper alternatives. It's hard to justify saving $50 to $100 on a mini machine when you would be sacrificing the performance and many great features offered by the BambuLab A1 Mini. It also outperforms the Prusa Mini. As you may already know, Prusa recently released a firmware update that supports the Marlin-style input shaper. I tried it on my Prusa Mini Plus and printed their 25-minute Benchy testing G-code, but the results were not as good as the A1 Mini in terms of both print speed and print quality. While the input shaper did improve the quality of the print surface when printing at a higher speed, it did not address the issues with the last generation extruder and the weaker cooling on a stock Prusa Mini. While some Prusa fans may argue that it's unfair to compare the Prusa Mini, which was launched 3 years ago, to this latest A1 Mini from BambuLab, as a buyer, I'm weighing what I can get for the same amount of money. So as long as the product is available in the market, it should be ready to be compared with any other options. This BambuLab A1 Mini will be the 8th 3D printer on AuroraTechChannel.com's recommendation list. We've tested over 100 machines and have only recommended 8 as of today. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I rarely give a highly recommended rating to a printer, but this A1 Mini is definitely highly recommended. I've included the link below for you to check if the A1 Mini is still available for pre-order and find out the estimated wait time for you to get your hands on this machine. That's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you for watching and I will see you next time.